Hello, and welcome to another episode of To Watch and To Play, a podcast about two things, movies and video games. I am your host. My name is Will Bretz, and today I have one movie and one video game and some other goodies for you. Let's get started. So the movie I have for you today is Weapons.
We're talking about 17 kids in one classroom. I want to know what happened in that classroom. Why just her classroom? Why only hers?
Children. I love those kids.
Weapons came out this year, 2025, and is directed by Zach Cregger. Zach Cregger also wrote it. It's starring Julia Garner from Ozark and Josh Brolin from Being Thanos. Cinematography is done by Larkin Seipel. Editor is Joe Murphy, who also did Zach's other movie, Barbarian, and the duration is about 128 minutes. So Weapons starts out in a very small town, suburbia, at an elementary school, where mysteriously an entire classroom of kids has disappeared overnight.
Those kids walked out of those homes. No one pulled them out. No one forced them. What do you see that I don't?
Show me. Where did you go?
Thanks to everyone's doorbells having video cameras on them now, the parents have seen that the kids woke up in the middle of the night and let themselves out of their house and just ran away. So no one knows where these kids are. All of the parents are extremely angry and are looking to blame their teacher. And that's kind of where our story starts, is from the perspective of the teacher. She is being, the subject of a witch hunt by all these angry parents. The principal is telling her to basically just stay away from the school. And she really wants to understand what happened to these kids, especially because there actually is one kid who did not disappear. His name is Alex. And he's a very traumatized young boy, and he is the only one who did not disappear that night. So I'm going to kind of leave it there. I really don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but I would say that one of my favorite things about the movie is the story structure. It's told in a series of vignettes that focus on one character at a time. So like I said in the beginning, we're focusing on the teacher and her perspective and what happened in her life. And then we move on to, maybe a specific parent of one of the kids who disappeared. We follow some of the staff of the school. We follow random people who don't seem related to what is going on, but play an equally important role in telling the story. So I really like this. It kind of broke up the movie in the perfect way. It kind of gives you a moment to breathe and reset each time you're shifting perspective from one character to the next. I was worried that sometimes with this editing strategy, you can repeat events unnecessarily. And I felt like in the edit, they did a good job of not repeating information, or if they did, it's from a new perspective and you learn new information. There was even one part in the movie, blatantly my editor brain was going off and saying oh man, we're about to watch this whole scene again. And nope, we didn't. It's good. I feel like that type of editing is done by someone who cares about the audience and doesn't want to waste your time. I did not feel like this movie wasted my time for a second. It was a really fun ride all the way through. Some other favorite details of mine are I really liked some certain dream sequences in this movie. There's some really eerie, kind of ethereal dream sequences that, just from an editing perspective, I found really interesting. What, really the sound design, the visual style, the color of those scenes really make you uncomfortable, but in a can't look away type of way. And it was cool. I've watched a bunch of behind the scenes and extras and interviews and stuff after seeing the movie. And Zach Cregger, the director, said something that he tries to get across is being horrible in the quiet moments. And I think that's a really interesting way to do horror rather than, relying on jump scares and gore and, shock value. It's more about the slow burn of anxiety and fear, just picking at you over a long period of time, but with good payoff. I don't feel like it was, torture to watch this film. I felt like it is a slow burn to the horrible moments. And I think he does that really, really well in this movie. The other thing about this movie is that it's his second one. Zach directed another movie called Barbarian a few years ago. And Barbarian was a good movie, but I felt like it kind of jumped around a little too much. It didn't feel like it settled into what genre it was trying to be. It kind of felt like a lot of sequences next to each other rather than one fluid story. I think Weapons did a really fantastic job of weaving a story as a whole, which is funny because it's made of vignettes. I actually felt like the through line was clearer in this movie than in Barbarian. So really, really enjoyed this movie. Can't wait to see whatever Zach does next. I hope you check it out, especially in theaters. If it's still out in theaters, I know it's having like a really good run in theaters, like a long extended run, which shows that it's successful, which is awesome because it's not like a super Hollywood movie. There's a couple stars in it, but not like a massive cast. So it's great to see a kind of more indie-ish movie have great success in the theaters. So please go see it. If you do, let me know what you think. All right, next up, I would like to recommend the game The Bazaar.
Now this will inspire the crew.
The Bazaar came out this year, 2025, and is a strategy auto-battler game. If you don't know what auto-battler is, don't worry, neither did I. You can play it on Steam, on Mac or PC. I really have enjoyed just playing this on my laptop, on my MacBook, and, I get pretty hooked on it. Like, I try to just play for 15 minutes, and it ends up being an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, I don't know. The developer is Tempo, and the price is $20, but there is downloadable content, extra characters, and things like that also cost additional money. You don't have to have the DLC. Just buying the base game is what I did for $20, and I feel like I've gotten a ton of run out of it. So the DLC is not mandatory. I think it's just if you really end up enjoying the game, then the DLC, you'll probably want to buy it. So The Bazaar is a very interesting strategy game that takes place in this kind of futuristic desert type world. There are really fun characters that you can choose to play. My main character lately is this character named Dooley, who's this little playful robot. I currently have him in this costume where he's like riding some dinosaurs. It's fine. There's also an assassin character, a female assassin, who's really cool. There is a kind of aristocratic, a pig man who's a character. There is Potion Master who is, I don't know, evil, I guess. So once you pick your character, you then start on day one. On day one, you're given a few different choices of what to do. You can go to a shop, a merchant. It's called the Bazaar. There's got to be shops. You can go to a merchant and start purchasing weapons. You can just open a random treasure chest, possibly, that will contain a weapon or an item for free. There are random battles that you can just start getting into. You're going to want to buy some weapons first before you hop into a battle, but you just kind of get started with just like a few items and see what they do. Weapons in this game have various factors. There's damage that they do, but they can also do damage in more ways than just direct damage. They can do poison damage. They can do fire, burn damage. They can also have status effects, beneficial hasting for your own weapons to make them faster. You can slow down the weapons of your opponent. So lots of different kind of chemistry to play with all of the different items and what they do. And then those get way more advanced the further in you get. But in the beginning, it starts off really slow and builds the complexity as you go. So after you get some items, you're going to end up in a fight. And fights can happen both between you and a computer, or they also take place between you and other players. So there actually is some PvP to this game. When you start a battle, it's very interesting. This is where the auto-battler thing comes in. So when you actually battle in this game, you don't have to touch or do anything. You are just kind of before the fight, you're setting up your pieces and, ordering your weapons and choosing which weapons you want against what opponent. And then once you hit go, the fight actually takes care of itself. And all of your weapons, have cooldown timers. They're 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. And your weapon automatically is used when that timer is up and then resets and starts filling up again. Same with your opponent. They're not doing anything. It's just like, what are their weapons? And you can sometimes tell like you're kind of screwed very early. You're just like, oh yeah, you have way better weapons than me. I'm done. Or it could be the opposite, and you can be way better than your opponent, and that'll be a nice free win. So when you win battles, you earn money, you can earn items, you get victory points that it counts as a win, and you want 10 wins in order to complete your round. 10 wins is pretty challenging. I would say like the first 5 aren't that bad, and then the last 5 can be really, really tough. The nice thing about this game also is that even if you lose a battle, you don't immediately end your run. You kind of lose a life, I guess, but you keep going, and then you're able to adjust your strategy and figure out, okay, my build isn't working in this way. What items can I purchase? Maybe I just sell all of my current weapons. They're not doing what I want them to do. I'll sell them all and buy totally new weapons and continue in a new way. Like an example would be, I've had multiple runs where my weapons are doing great against most enemies, but then I'll come up, honestly, a lot of the times I'm playing against the Potion Master. The Potion Master constantly is using poison damage, and poison damage cuts your health just so quickly. And not only that, but if you have shields up, you can have shields. Certain weapons give you shields. Poison damage, unfortunately, cuts right through shields, acts like it's not even there, and just attacks your health points directly. A Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference in there somewhere. So after I lost that battle, I was like, okay, how am I going to change my strategy to give myself more health regeneration or more maximum health? Instead of investing heavily in shields, let me just invest in health so that I can kill the poison damage characters much more easily. So there's a lot of strategizing. I think the game does a good job of bringing you along slowly, not putting too much on your plate too early. And it's up to you to learn from your strategies of before, what's working, what's not working, who are your favorite characters, because each hero has unique weapons and abilities and skills. So it's really about like finding what works for you. And yeah, for me right now, I really like this little mini robot who has lots of shields and damage and friends. Like he's got a bunch of like little computer friends as his items. So yeah, I like his aesthetic as much as I like how he attacks and actually, is utilized. So like I said, this is my first auto battler, and if you've never played an auto battler before and you're interested, I think this is a really good one to start with. The learning curve is not too bad. It's $20. It's not cheap, but it's not insanely expensive. And I think the aesthetic is really cool, and the music is good, and the voice acting and the art style are all really cool and enjoyable. It almost felt like Dune or something. If Dune was made by Pixar or something, I kind of would describe it as that. It's also a game where every run is different and fresh, and I think I just have already felt like I got a lot of bang for my buck because, when I started playing it, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. But now I'm 50, 60 hours deep and just realizing there's so much more that I haven't even touched yet. So if you have any interest, any curiosity, highly recommend checking out the Bazaar. Let me know what you think of it if you check it out. All right, now I have a little bit of bonus content here at the end, a few extra things that I'm excited about that are coming out soon. First up would be the John Candy documentary.
Who are you?
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog.
Gus Polinski, polka king of the Midwest.
Del Griffith, director of sales, shower curtain ring division.
I was a huge John Candy fan as a kid. I would say my sense of humor was heavily inspired by John Candy, Bill Murray, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams. Those are some of my favorite funny people. And with John Candy especially, his face just lights up a room. He is just this big, happy giant who you can't help but giggle around. So I'm really excited for the documentary. I'm also heavily in the documentary world. That's mostly what I edit. and it's got an incredible cast for interviews. So the list of actors who are interviewed for the movie is kind of ridiculous. It's directed by Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son, and Tom Hanks is interviewed, of course, but also Dan Aykroyd, Mel Brooks, Macaulay Culkin, Eugene Levy, Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Conan O'Brien, Catherine O'Hara, Martin Short, and Dave Thomas. So a stacked group of people who you can tell just from the trailer that they love John and we're looking forward to talking about him and honoring him. So I'm excited to check that movie out. Video game wise, I am excited to check out Platypus Remake. Platypus was a claymation spaceship side-scrolling shooter that I used to play in 2003 when I was a kid. I remember playing this on my computer and just like being hooked on it. I loved it. You know, reminded me of Galaga or, you know, plenty of other spaceship shooters. And I couldn't believe it the other day when I saw a trailer for this, that they're remaking it. It looks fantastic. I think it's like $10 or $15 or something. Amazing little claymation game. It also has like co-op, which is super exciting. So very excited to check out the Platypus Remake. All right. And then lastly, music-wise, I have been listening to a bunch of sobs. Sobs is an indie pop band from Singapore, and I would describe them as kind of if Avril Lavigne was kind of into video games. It's kind of electronic, it's very rock. I love the lead singer's voice. I learned about this band through another video game band that I really like called Anamanaguchi. And Sobs has an album that they came out with in 2022 called Air Guitar. I really love a couple songs on that, one being World Implodes, and I also love Friday Night, which has a very cool music video. Sobs is a vibe, and I hope you check them out if you enjoy that type of music. And if you don't and you're curious, check them out too. All right, and that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching To Watch and To Play. I'm your host, Will Bretz. Please leave a like, subscribe, anything to help the channel out, and pop off in the comments. Like, let me know, if you've checked out any of these things and what you like, or if you have any movies, video games, or music that you'd like to recommend to me. I love checking out what other people like, so always down to chat. All right, and thanks again for watching. I will see you next time on To Watch and To Play.